Welcome back. We're going live from the district with Congresswoman Lauren Underwood. Good morning.
Hi, Sylvia.
Hi.
So good morning, Congresswoman. Okay, let's start with Trump's declaration of a national emergency to build a wall on the southern border without congressional approval. He hasn't spoken yet, but given what we know so far, what's your response to the fact that he's trying to do this with this legislation that Congress passed decades ago to declare this national emergency?
Well, it's incredibly problematic. What he's trying to do is usurp the will of the Congress and really the will of the people that we represent. And the Constitution is very clear. The power to appropriate money and to fund programs lies in the Congress and not an executive power. And so I'm very disappointed and am looking forward to hearing exactly what the president says.
Will you push for Congress to file a legal challenge to this?
Well, I think that we've already heard about the intention for that kind of a legal recourse in terms of litigation. I also know that there's been discussions about a joint resolution from the House and the Senate. Those are the two main avenues that we have in the legislative branch to respond, and I believe that we are considering both approaches.
So you're one of the most high-profile freshman classes that we've seen in a while. What's that like, and why do you think that you don't get quite the same heat that some of the other freshman Congress people do?
Well, let's just be clear. I'm not here for heat. This is an incredible opportunity. Honestly, it's an incredible opportunity to represent some wonderful people in Northern Illinois. My district is outside of Chicago. We have the Wisconsin border. It's rural and it's suburban. And it's my deep honor to be able to represent them every day by casting a vote in the U.S. House of Representatives. When I decided to run, it wasn't to have celebrity or notoriety or any of these things. It was really to do the work. And so over the last 6 weeks, we've had a chance to do that. You know, we ended the shutdown. I introduced my first bill, which is to help save health care and protect pre-existing conditions. And we've even had a chance to respond to Me Too and make sure that Congress is being held to the same standards that companies all across our country are, making sure that workers are protected from sexual misconduct in the workplace. And so we've been incredibly productive and certainly excited to be able to continue to share this story with my neighbors at home and here around the country.
So just really quickly, though, you said something interesting there. You didn't do this for celebrity or notoriety. Are you saying that some members of the freshman class did run for celebrity or notoriety?
No, that's not what I'm implying at all. But I do think that we've gotten a lot of attention, and that's because for the first time we have 100+ women serving in the House. With our election in November, we've drawn down the average age of a representative by at least 10 years. And so now we have this wave of youthful energy. We are from all corners of the United States and really bring unprecedented diversity to a body that had been at the beginning of the founding days of our country, limited to wealthy white landowners, right? We know this. And so I understand why there's a lot of attention and interest in the individual representatives, but I don't think that that was the motivating factor for why why we got into our races and why we ultimately decided to put our names on ballots, which is truly to serve our communities.
Right. In an interview with The Cut, you said that you actually live with a roommate, Congresswoman Katie Hill. What's it like having a roommate that's also a member of Congress?
Well, it's really fun. So here's what's incredible. I think you all know the youngest member in Congress, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's 29. Then there's a member from Iowa, Abby Finkenauer, who's 30. Katie's 31. I'm 32. So we have, and then there's another guy, Josh Harder, who's also 32. So there's 5 of us, 32 and under, and we all get along so well. And it's so fun being able to live with Katie, right? Because there's so few people in this country who've gone through this incredible experience of getting elected. So few people then who come into an institution that literally doesn't have, the Congress functions on paper. So we're in the digital age and the Congress is not necessarily there. So to be able to have a roommate that shares this point of view, that we can go through this experience and support each other, it's been really fun. She's from California, so brings a totally different perspective on what's going on here in Washington. And let me tell you, we have a great time at the apartment.
Hey, I mean, first of all, I can't really see what kind of parties you guys host.
The kickbacks must be lit.
Must be. But
Kickbacks. Are you kidding? We've been trying to keep government open. There is no kickbacking.
Well, I mean, you gotta, leave somehow, I guess.
right? But so what do you make, though, of the effort to ban members from sleeping and living in their offices that the Democrats have been trying to push for?
Well, I don't presume to know the financial circumstances of every member, but I do know that the United States House of Representatives and each of our individual member offices are workplaces. They're workplaces. They are not living quarters. And so I am so fortunate to have over 10 employees, and I would not choose to live in my workspace where my employees are expected to maintain a professional demeanor and make sure that we are having an output and service to 720,000 people. I think that, this is an important conversation for the House to have in an upfront way, because we do know that there are some members, because of life and financial circumstances, where they may not be able to afford 2 residences. And I think that, as a millennial serving in Congress, I certainly appreciate and understand that. I've often said on the campaign trail, if I had tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt, I wouldn't have been able to run, much less win this election and serve in the House, right? And so there is a considerable financial burden and financial risk that each individual candidate and or member assumes by taking on this job. But I do think that the attention provided to this issue is timely and important.
Yeah, so you tweeted this yesterday. It's been 11 years since the shooting at NIU. Since then, we've seen gun violence at elementary schools, concerts, churches, and Parkland 1 year ago on the same day. Enough. I came to Congress to act. That starts with H.R. 8. Everyone who buys a gun needs a background check. Now, the Judiciary Committee just moved that measure forward. Do you think the dam is starting to break on this?
Finally, yes.
Yeah, what do you think it'll take, though, to actually get something not just passed but signed?
Well, here's the thing. Universal background checks is something that's supported by 97% of the American people, 97%. And yet, it has been over a decade since we've had a hearing on a bill like this, a gun violence prevention bill. And so a couple weeks ago, when the House Judiciary Committee had the hearing, that was groundbreaking. Then for that same committee to pass a bill out of their committee so that it can move to the floor of the House is another groundbreaking step. So I don't take any of these steps for granted. I feel pretty confident that we're going to be able to pass H.R. 8, a very important foundational bill, which will then allow us to take further action to protect communities all across our country. So NIU, Northern Illinois University, is a premier public university in Illinois, and it's adjacent to my district. 11 years ago yesterday, they had a campus shooting, and we all thought, this will never happen again. Surely this will be the last straw that will spur some action. And then, as we all know, we've just seen these cases pile up, and with, a Congress that had been unwilling to act. So I don't want anybody to discount the progress that is happening in the House, and I challenge Senator McConnell and the senators in their Republican caucus to, make sure that they are bold enough to give this bill the due consideration in the Senate. The American people have clearly spoken, and we want action on this issue. And so this is a bipartisan bill. It's not partisan. It's not political. It's a safety issue, and it's quite candidly the right thing to do. And so I'm honored to be able to support it. I'm proud to be in a caucus and proud to be in the House of Representatives that's going to pass this bill.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's been so fun. Happy Black History Month, everybody.
Happy Black History Month.